ever opened up your circuit breaker panel and just kind of stared at those little numbers? The 15s, the 20s, the big 50? Well, they are not random suggestions. They're actually the heart of a safety system that is silently protecting your home from, well, disaster every single day. So let's break down what that code really means.
Oh, we've all been there, right? You're in the kitchen, you've got the toaster going, the microwave is humming, maybe the coffee maker is brewing. And then, boom, silence. Everything goes dark. That familiar click is a sound we all know. And let's be honest, it's usually pretty frustrating.
But here's the thing. That click, it isn't your enemy. In fact, it's your home's electrical system doing its single most important job, protecting you. It's like a little guardian, preventing the wires in your walls from getting overloaded, overheating, and potentially starting a fire. So really, instead of an annoyance, you should think of it as a success story. This system worked. So how does your house know when to make that click? Well, it's not guesswork. This entire safety net, the whole shebang, is built on one single foundational rule. Let's take a look at what it is. The official rulebook for all of this stuff is the National Electrical Code, or NEC for short. You can think of it as the master guide for every electrician and home builder in the country. When it comes to safe electrical wiring, this is the source of truth. And this, right here, is probably the single most important rule in that entire code. It's super simple and absolutely non-negotiable. The amount of electricity being used, that's the load, can never go over what the circuit is rated for. Everything else we're about to talk about today builds on this one core principle. So what exactly is an ampere reading? Honestly, the best way to wrap your head around it is with a really simple analogy. Imagine your home's wiring is just a big system of water pipes. The ampere reading, then, is like the diameter of the pipe. It determines the absolute maximum amount of water, or in our case, electrical current, that can safely flow through it at any given time. If you try to push too much through, well, something's got to give. Okay, so let's bring this into your home, literally. Most of the circuits in your house are going to fall into two main categories, 15 amp circuits and 20 amp circuits. These are the real workhorses of your electrical system. So what are they running? Well, pretty much everything you use day in and day out. We're talking about your lights, the outlets you charge your phone from, your TV, your computer, and all those small kitchen gadgets like blenders and coffee makers. They all run on these standard everyday circuits. Now, this is where it gets interesting. To keep circuits from running at their absolute max for a long time, which, by the way, can create a lot of dangerous heat, the NEC has this built-in safety buffer. And for anything you physically plug into an outlet, it's called the 80% rule. What this means in the real world is that on a 20 amp circuit, any single portable appliance like a space heater or a powerful vacuum shouldn't draw more than 16 amps. That little bit of wiggle room, that 20% safety margin, is absolutely crucial. It ensures the circuit never gets pushed right to its breaking point. But wait, there's another rule. This one is for equipment that's hardwired, or, as the code says, fastened in place. Think about a garbage disposal or a built-in microwave. If that appliance shares its circuit with other things, like your kitchen lights or some regular outlets, a different, even stricter rule applies, the 50% rule. So, on that very same 20 amp circuit, a fixed appliance can't use more than 10 amps. Why? Because this guarantees that half of the circuit's total capacity is always free for the other lights and outlets it shares. See? It's all about safely balancing the load. So here's a quick summary of how those rules break down for the circuits you use the most. For things you plug in, that 80% rule means you've got a max of 16 amps on a 20 amp circuit or 12 amps on a 15 amp circuit. And for those fixed items on a shared circuit, the 50% rule means 10 amps or 7.5 amps respectively. This chart is a great way to see the core rules for everyday use all in one place. But of course, not every appliance in your house can get by on a 15 or 20 amp circuit. So let's move on to the heavy hitters. We're talking about the truly power-hungry machines that need something much, much bigger. A good way to think about it is this. A standard 20 amp circuit is a generalist. It's designed to power multiple smaller things all at once. But a heavy-duty circuit, like a 50 amp one, that's a specialist. It has one job, and one job only, to power a single major appliance. So what kind of appliances are we talking about here? Well, according to the code, 30 amp circuits are typically for things like electric clothes dryers or maybe some electric water heaters. But the real giants, the 40 and 50 amp circuits, those are reserved for the major cooking appliances like your electric stove, your wall oven, or your cooktop. These big guys get an entire dedicated circuit all to themselves. No sharing allowed. Okay, wow, we've covered a lot of ground. We've gone from that one basic rule all the way to the specifics of all these different circuits. So the big question is, how do we translate all of this into some simple, actionable advice you can actually use? Here is your takeaway checklist for home electrical safety. Number 1, know your breaker panel. Take a look and identify your general use 15 and 20 amp breakers versus the big ones, the 30s, 40s, or 50s. 2, respect that 80% rule, especially for powerful plug-in items like heaters. 3, be smart about what you run at the same time. Try to avoid running multiple heat-producing things like a microwave and a toaster oven on the same circuit. And finally, number 4, remember the one-to-one rule. One major appliance, like your stove, gets one dedicated circuit, period. When you think about it, the electrical code is a perfect example of a complex, invisible system that is constantly working in the background to keep us safe. It kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other hidden rules and unseen systems are quietly shaping our world every single day? It's definitely something to think about the next time you hear that little click